Hey everyone, Julian here from the Circle Up podcast, a Mizzou basketball podcast. Today, joined by PowerMizzou's own Drew King, willing to step into the arena with small-time podcasters like us with his professional background. I'm in my in-laws' basement because of travel reasons, so I'm in a dungeon.
Don't worry, we can't tell.
We can't tell. Those look completely natural. But Drew, thank you so much for coming. And if you'd like to introduce yourself, please let our audience know who you are, what you do.
Yeah, so I'm Drew King. I'm the basketball writer for PowerMizzou.com with 24/7 Sports. I write about everything that goes on with Mizzou's basketball team, recruiting wise and on the court. And I'm excited about this upcoming season.
I am too. I think it's gonna be a great season. Staying on the basketball side of it, when you play basketball, Drew, what position do you play?
Oh,
And what's your
great
go-to move?
question. This might be the first time somebody's asked about my basketball career. So
That's what matters the most to me, honestly.
So I'm like a catch and shoot specialist. I would say I can't dribble at all, but I do have a little bit of size. I've got a decent shot, so I'd say like a kind of a combo forward. It's something that lets me play off the ball. I've got a especially in college, I had more of a deep bag in the post. Not so much anymore, but I can still mix it up inside.
If you had to compare yourself to someone on the Mizzou team, who would it be?
Good
I gotta put you on the spot
question.
there. When you said I can't
Golly.
dribble, I was like,
Whoever he could, they're just gonna be mad. They'd be like, Drew King saying he
Yeah.
plays like me.
That's the only reason I asked.
Man, y'all are putting me on the spot.
You don't have to answer. You don't
We're a
have to.
tough interview.
If I'm, could I?
You
It's
say
not
we
going to
do
be
players
fair.
past-
It's not going to be fair to anyone that I mentioned.
No,
but
no.
I'm like a 6'2" version of Trent Pierce, I guess, if I had to pick
Okay, yeah,
somebody.
Yeah. And so, and he can dribble better than you, obviously.
Right.
That's implied.
He can shoot better than me too. He can rebound. He can do everything better. Honestly,
my issue is that I'm a 5'11" center. I can't shoot. My shooting form is awful. But
yeah.
I have developed the most insane set of post moves that when I was a junior at Mizzou would just frustrate people. They're like,
Yeah.
who the hell is this guy? What is he doing on this basketball court? But
No,
okay,
and
okay.
if you're playing intramurals in college, like people don't know how to defend that. So I would get people like flying by me when I hit with the up and under. Like
Up and under.
yes,
I would
Sounds like you guys
I
have
would
a
do
similar
back
thing.
to basket stuff, and I had a little baby hook, and people were like, "How do you guard that?" I'm like, "You don't.
Yeah.
That's the
yeah,
point."
exactly.
I
You
own
can
this
get it off over everybody.
All right, Julian, I'm
I can
gonna
relate.
let you cook for most of the interview, but I'm gonna hop in with one real quick, just while we're talking about Drew's background. So I worked at KMIZ in Columbia for a long time.
Okay.
So I've spent a good amount of time following Mizzou sports teams around. For people that think it's all like glitz and glamour, being the Mizzou beat writer for Power Mizzou, I was just curious, like, what's your favorite thing about the job? Like, if there's one kind of like underrated aspect, whether it be just like the food, the free Papa John's or whatever you get, and then one thing that's maybe not so glamorous that people don't realize.
Okay. Yeah, so to borrow a quote from Ernie Johnson, like, this is a get-to job, not a have-to job. Like, I get to watch basketball for a living, right? I get to go to all these games for free, and people pay to hear what I have to say about the games. Like, that's incredible. That's the dream, right? So I'm super grateful to Gabe DeArmond for giving me this position.
Money
I've
bag,
had
Gabe.
a lot of fun on the beat since I've been here. I would say kind of the grind of it is just like the sheer amount of work that there is while you're in the thick of it, right? Like, you're pulling a lot of all-nighters, you're staying up late most nights. And like, even like if it's an 8 p.m. game, let's say, like, I'm not getting out of the stadium till 1 a.m. and then
That
I'm
goes
going
double
home.
overtime.
Right. And then, like, even when you're done writing, like, you still have this adrenaline rush from trying to get everything up and readable as quick as you can. And so, like, even if you're done working, it's going to take a while for you to wind back down so you can go to sleep. So, yeah, it's a lot of late nights on the Mizzou beat for sure.
No, I understand the grind, but that's why I wanted to ask. I just kind of wanted to like give people a little bit of insight into like what it actually looks like, kind of being out there
For sure.
following the team and everything.
last non-Mizzou question, Mizzou basketball question. When you have to stay up late, are you a late night coffee guy, or is there an energy drink of choice we're hitting?
I'm not really a coffee drinker I'm like the pickiest eater in the world, by the way. So,
Okay.
I'm more of I'll either get a Dr. Pepper if I've still got more stuff to write and just trying to keep the energy up, or if I'm trying to wind back down, I usually got a little bit of whiskey in the decanter in the living room, so I'll just break into
Oh,
that.
from well, I was gonna say a man who appreciates all
One of
23
us.
flavors, all 23 flavors of Dr Pepper. I'm not a whiskey man myself, but congrats to everyone who is. Um, but anyway, onto the Mizzou basketball side.
Yeah, we'll get to the
I
real
appreciate
stuff.
anyone who's still listening at this point about our personal lives. So this Mizzou team, I think what's interesting looking at all the Mizzou teams under Dennis Gates at least is that there have been both continuity in each season, like players who travel over, but also dramatic roster changes from size to skill to how they're like. It feels like they're going to win the game this season. So when you see this Mizzou team, what stands out the most to you compared to the others in the Dennis Gates years, at least?
Yeah, I would say like this is the most similar roster he's had here as compared to like the Florida State teams that he helped coach. They are really big. They're really athletic. They're really long. Everybody's got a pretty big wingspan. And so I'm kind of expecting this team to be like the most physical we've seen from Dennis Gates at Mizzou. I think that if they're not going to be number one in the country in free throw rate, they're going to be pretty close. And they were number two last year, and then they added Sebastian Mack and they added Sean Phillips. Like, I'm having a hard time seeing how they drop in the
Yeah.
rankings this season. So, and then like defensively, they're still going to be really disruptive. I think that the amount of bigs that they have, they can throw more out there than they have in years past. That's going to be helpful on the boards, I think. We'll see. It's always a big question about rebounding with Mizzou, but yeah, like I think that just the size and the physicality of this group is what really stands out.
Yeah, it feels like that. Like if reading about the whole thing, watching the games, it feels like the Dennis Gates defensive system is we're not going to crash for rebounds hard because we really want to get the leak out. So we want to move fast. We want people running down the lane. But now we actually have a team where if you have two people going for a rebound, but they're both above 6'10", you have a good chance of getting that rebound. And I also hope, and I feel like this season could be finally the season that breaks the chatter you see in social media that Dennis Gates can't coach defense. Because I
Sure.
feel like he actually has the bodies to play the type of defense that he wants to play. Which,
Yeah.
as a coach, your job is to recruit. But I think if this is the season it's going to happen, it should be with this roster.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Like, it's kind of personnel-wise what he's been wanting to get to since he got hired, right? And so, and like you said, like they're gonna have a lot of dudes that are 6'10" and taller, and that should make an impact on the boards this year. But also, like you said, like they still want to leak out and get transition buckets. So I'm not expecting this to be like the greatest rebounding team in the world, but I do think it is going to be a step forward. Actually, we were talking about this on the message board today. Like even Florida State's best defensive teams, like they ranked number one in defensive efficiencies one year. And we're still outside the top 100 in defensive rebounding. So like it's doable, but you do have to sacrifice a little bit on the boards if you're going to play that way.
There's something that, I mean, like, I think it was you actually who reported, like, he brought a bunch of reporters and just showed their analytics. It was like, they're a very analytics-driven team.
Yeah.
Like, they pay attention to this. So there's obviously something in their breakdowns that says, it's okay if we give out X amount of rebounds if we're getting this amount of leakouts. But it sometimes can look bad if multiple possessions in a row, you're not getting the rebound that you feel like you should get. But I think you're right that this is the season that feels like you're really getting to what they're trying to get to the most. But so I feel like that is kind of like a group. Like our next question would be, what's a green flag for this team? So if you have anything else you think they're gonna be really good at, that'd be awesome. Or on the flip side of that, what do you think might be a struggle this team will face, a red flag for this team?
Yeah. I'll start with the struggle, actually. I think that this is probably going to be the worst three-point shooting team that Dennis Gates has had so far here. You lose Tamar Bates, and you lose Caleb Grill, and you lose Marquez Warwick. Like, I feel like not enough people are talking about the amount of threes he hit last year. And then he didn't really replace them with anybody who's proven they're on kind of the same level, right? So Jacob Cruz and Trent Pierce, they both shot around 33, 34% last year, which is about average in the nation. Then you got Sebastian Mack and Javon Porter. They're around 30%. Jaden Stone's around 34% for his career, but he was only at 31-ish percent at Detroit Mercy. Ant Robinson was at 40%, but he's only shooting like less than 2 per game. So it's a lot of guys that you're hoping can improve and take that next step forward. But how many of them are actually going to pan out? And that's kind of what I see as one of the bigger issues with this team is just like if Dennis Gates wants them to take 800 threes this season, like who's taking them and who do you want to take them?
There are going to be some nights where there's probably going to be a lot of misses, and they're passing the ball off. But hey, man, sometimes no one's got the hot hand.
From how they sound when the coaches talk and the players talk, is that almost all of them have a pretty open ground to shoot. They're encouraged to shoot. It's not like they're telling them hold back. And you're right. It feels like a lot of this is saying, man, I hope people who have traditionally shot X are actually going to shoot Y. Can T.O. shoot better? Can like Sebastian Mack, I read your preview. I'm on PM. I read your preview and talked about how he's been practicing his 3-point a lot. Like, he feels like he's better at it. Ant's going to shoot more. Is Jacob Cruz going to have shots that actually fit his profile more than, like, trying to copy Caleb Grill? Like, you're relying on people to shoot better, and you hope that's the case. You hope there's improvement every year, but that is something that could potentially not go right. And it's interesting because if you look at the end of the year slide, a lot of things went into that, but it felt like the biggest thing was shots weren't falling, which just felt like no one could drive anymore. Like anytime someone tried to go in the paint, it was completely pat because they felt like no one's going to hit a shot anymore. So if you want all these drivers to be able to drive, there's got to be space for them. So I agree. Really, really, really good point. Any other green flags you feel like?
Yeah, well, that leads into my next point, which is I do think this is going to be a more versatile offense. They're not going to be so live and die by the three, right? Because like you mentioned, down the stretch of last season when Tamar Bates broke his hand. And
did they ever say that during the year? I don't remember them ever saying he broke his hand. Even at the end of the year. I feel like that was thrown in like you guys reporting the next year.
We were the ones who reported it. They didn't ever announce it publicly, no. And he played through it. It happened in the Alabama game. He played through it. But you could see, like, after that Alabama game, he was not the same player at all. And
he was missing free throws, man.
Credit to him. Like, he made it through the season and recovered in time for the NBA draft combine. But, like, it wasn't the same Tamar that we had seen throughout the year. Caleb Grill's shot kind of fell off because every defense in the country was like, we cannot let him shoot threes. And so when that happened, like Mizzou's only real option was to get the ball to Mark Mitchell or let Ant Robinson cook, but usually Ant Robinson got into foul trouble. So that really hurt the team down the stretch. This year, though, like, Sebastian Mack's getting to the free throw line. He can get his own shot whenever he feels like it. Jaden Stone was a really, really good scorer at Detroit Mercy. I know, like, the team sucked, but he could get his shot off whenever he wanted.
He looked pretty good in the exhibition, too.
I'm expecting Ant Robinson to be an all-SEC player this year. Like, I think that he's got that kind of potential in him. And he's, like I mentioned, one of the guys who can take a step forward as a shooter. But he's another guy, like, going to get to the free throw line a ton. One of the stats I've been throwing out on the message board is, like, Mark Mitchell, the last 9 games of the regular season, was averaging 19 points, shooting 63% on 2-pointers. Like, I feel like that's pretty good. So you're maybe not going to have as free flowing as an offense. It's not going to be as pretty as it has been in maybe years past, but I do feel like when they get into a rut or they get into a cold shooting stretch, they're going to be more there's going to be more paths to get out of it, right? You can feed it to Mark Mitchell, you can go to Jaden Stone, you can go to Sebastian Mack, you can run a pick and roll with Sean Phillips and Ant Robinson, like, more stuff like that. That'll help them get out of a jam.
Yeah, interesting. I have nothing to add on to that. Let's go to the next question. What is the ceiling of this team? What is the potential floor? But more importantly, what do you think is a reasonable expectation for this team to reach in Dennis Gates' 4th year?
Yeah. So I actually put out my my predictions column today on
Haven't
Power
seen it.
Mizzou.
So.
And so I'm not putting out my prediction for the record until Sunday, but what I wrote in today's column is like you've got Mark Mitchell, who's already an All SEC guy. You've got Ant Robinson, who I think should be an All SEC guy. Those two alone give you a high floor, and so I'll be pretty surprised if this team doesn't finish in the top half of the SEC. Like that's the floor for this team is to be in the top 8 and then make the NCAA tournament. The ceiling's going to be decided by everyone else on the roster, right? How well do the pieces fit around those two? Who can take that next step this year and become like a real contributor, a real third banana? And like there are some questions about the fit. We mentioned how there's kind of a lack of shooters. How well does that work when you're trying to play Mark Mitchell and Sean Phillips together, who both aren't going to really get any respect from defenses from outside? But like, there's reasons to be excited, right? And so if all goes according to plan, like I talked to Isaac Trotter, who's with CBS Sports, and he thinks this could be a top 3 team if that happens, like if everything pans out. And so I don't think it's unrealistic for this team to sneak into the top 4 and get that double bye going into the conference tournament. But like a lot has to go their way for that to happen.
So I think what's interesting is that the highs of last season were super high, but then losing to Drake in the first round was brutal. And Curtis and I, and also Mike, who's our third usually, we're all former Antlers, and so for us, like the people we talk to a lot, I mean, we're on a text chains constantly talking about the team, and that Drake loss had some people, basically saying like, I don't know if Dennis is the guy. I like people saying that, and of course the emotions of the moment were the thing. I don't feel that way. But I think there is a strain of Mizzou fan that's like, we got to see penetration into the tournament. Like, a Sweet 16 needs to happen soon, or else it's a feeling like we're just treading. And I wonder how much of, like, if he hits the first round and fails out again, even if he gets to the second round but doesn't quite break through, are people still saying that's not good enough? And I don't even know if that's a reasonable, like, is a Sweet 16 a reasonable expectation of this team? I think there's so much potential variance. You have to wait till we get farther in the season. But for predictive sake, I think that is one of the most fascinating part of the season, when there's still people who hold the second 0 SEC win season so hard against them.
And that's like people are completely within their right to hold that against him. Like that was the worst season in school history. Like that's going to be on his resume for the rest of his career, right? But when you look at Mizzou since Norm Stewart left, like there aren't a ton of coaches who have come in and made the NCAA tournament 3 times in 4 years, right? And so I know like we are supposed to judge teams based on how well they do in the March Madness tournament, but I do think it's kind of more indicative to judge them based on like how did you do in the regular season, where did you finish in the conference. That kind of tells you more about where they stand in the bigger picture of things, right? Because March Madness is just how good are you that weekend, and are you better than the other team that you got matched up against. But like I totally get people who want to judge them based on that, because that's what gets people excited. That's where like you've been working the whole season to get to. So I think that every high major program's goal is to make the NCAA tournament, and I don't know that. I mean, it's fair to expect them to get a little bit deeper this season. It was fair to expect them to get deeper last season. And yeah, you definitely want to see a better performance out of Dennis Gates this March. But if it doesn't go that way, I don't think it's quite time to throw in the towel on him just yet.
No. I mean, especially with the upcoming recruiting class. Like, he's showing he's getting kids to buy in. And his retention's also really high, too. But that's actually part of a question we'll get to later on.
If they go 0-18 in the conference this year, then like, all right, fine.
Yeah.
But like,
But also, if that 0-8, if that 0-win SEC season was like 4 wins, like the perception is so much different. It's like
Correct.
That's how thin the margins are a lot of the time.
Yeah, completely agree.
And also I think that's how I feel. Like, to me, the regular season was so good. I had no question. Like, I had no question at the end of last season that he's the guy, because I felt like what he showed in the regular season was big. I mean, I was in the stands as a student when Kim Anderson was there. I hugged him at his introductory press conference, and then we saw what we saw. So, like, I've seen when it looks bad when the season's not going like overall. So, but yeah. So moving on to the players, we know Ant and Mark are primed for really big seasons. But when you look at the rest of the roster, who are one or two guys you think are primed for like big breakouts or might really surprise fans this year if they play? We kind of did that on our previous pod, but I'm interested to see what you think.
Okay, so the one that I keep bringing up is Sean Phillips. I feel like that he's going to be an immediate fan favorite.
Yep.
He's 7 feet tall, 9'1" standing reach, and then he's got a 42-inch max vertical. So he is,
that's insane,
what I've been told, like
that's insane.
The best athlete that they've had since Dennis Gates took over. So I'm expecting him to be a huge plus as a shot blocker, as a rim protector, and then a huge plus on the rebounds as well. He averaged 5 and 5 at Arizona State last year, and that was mostly coming off the bench, backing up Jaden Quaintance. So he's going to get a chance to start here. Started in the Kansas State game, had a double-double in 19 minutes. That's going to be something that you want to see from him. And like Kansas State has kind of a smaller front court, and there's going to be bigs in the SEC that push Sean Phillips around because they have a size advantage on him. But that's what you want to see when Sean Phillips has the advantage, is for him to be that kind of productive. So the biggest thing for him in his career has just been he gets a little undisciplined defensively and can run into foul trouble, kind of like Ant Robinson did last year. So if he can play more under control and be more of a threat around the rim, like he's going to be a player that Mizzou hasn't had in the last couple of years. In my predictions column, actually, I wrote that he's going to be the best center since Jeremiah Tillman, which if you look at the list, ain't a high bar to clear, but...
Yeah. I said Alex Oriaki on our last.
My flashbacks to Jeremiah Tillman was just saying, "Please stop fouling, please, Jeremiah Tillman, stop fouling.
Please stop calling fouls."
You're so good. Please stop fouling."
Well, you might be saying the same about Sean Phillips. We'll see, but that's a guy
you view his ceiling as much higher than Josh Gray then, because Josh Gray was a solid center for us last season. Like he did his job and he did it well, but you can really tell his physical limitations compared to Sean Phillips.
Right. I mean, Josh Gray averaged 3 points and 4 rebounds at Mizzou, something like that. If Sean Phillips can get to 5 and 5 like he had at Arizona State, like that's an improvement. That's better than what Josh Gray did. So, like I said, the bar isn't super high to clear, but I do think that that's the guy who's going to clear it.
If there's anyone athletic enough to jump over that bar.
It's the dude with the 42-inch vertical, right?
Exactly.
For
Sorry,
reference,
it was too easy. I had to.
Yeah, for reference, mine is T.O. Barrett. I think people aren't talking about it enough. I think he's going to... Like, we saw that big jump for Ant in his sophomore season. I don't know if T.O.'s going to have that level of jump, but, like, what my point was, when you look back at Mizzou point guard rotations for the past few years... How often have we had someone who can replace the starting point guard and basically kind of replicate what they're doing? Not at the same level, but like shades of it. So like last season, you had Tony and Ant who basically started together and then rotated the point guard duties, but they played very differently. But like T.O. I view as someone somewhat similar to Ant. Very athletic, very defensive oriented. I think his driving and his decision making are going to be a lot better this season. We hope about his shot. Like if he could have that Ant level jumper shot too, it'd be big. But I think T.O. is primed for like a really big season as well.
Yeah, I'm a founding member of the T.O. Barrett fan club. Like I've liked him since he was in high school.
You didn't say Island. That's the big sportcaster thing, is to say Island.
You're right. Cut that part out and then we'll edit. No, but T.O. Barrett, like when he was like just a recruit, I kind of compared him as like a more athletic Trago Million, where like he's a connector, he's a glue guy, he's gonna do all the dirty work for you and be okay with that. Like accept it and be proud to do that. And the more that I've seen him play since then, like I think the ceiling's even higher for him because, like you said, he's got so much more skill as a point guard than I realized when he was playing next to Aaron Rowe on the AAU circuit. So, yeah, like Tio Barrett, I love the floor vision. He might be the best defender on the team. Like I know that Ant's gonna get all the attention for the steals he gets, but like Tio Barrett's 6'4", close to 200 pounds, like significantly bigger than Ant Robinson. He locked down Walter Clayton in that Florida game down the stretch.
That Florida game,
I felt like that
Nobody
was
him
locking
coming
down
in that
Clayton
game was
much,
crazy
too.
and doing what he did.
yeah. So that was pretty telling to me about what his upside is on that side of the court. The biggest difference between T.O. and Ant, I would say, is that T.O. is not a shooter whatsoever. He hasn't really been to this point in his career. Like even at the free throw line, I think he made like 50% in high school. And so he's a guy that can get downhill and will get to the free throw line just like all the other guards in the rotation. But I'm curious to see like how much has his jumper improved over the last year and a half since he got to Mizzou, and can he make defenses step out and defend him off of catch and shoot threes? But I'm really excited about what he can do this year.
Yeah, I think the markings of how good is the developmental program of Dennis Gates and his coaches, I think is represented in Sean Phillips and T.O., where they both have very clear skill sets, and if you could maximize those things plus add on a couple more, you truly make them amazing players for what you're trying to do within the team. The Rock M guys, I read them a lot too, and the thing they bring up is that a trademark of Dennis Gates and his coaches is when players come play with them, they get better at shooting, and you could put a lot on that, but there's something they're doing that's making them better shooters, and so I'm interested to see if that applies to people who have been marked as non-shooters, like T.O., like Sebastian Mack, people like that. But so that takes us to our next question: who would you have as the starting lineup? There's definitely some clear people who are for sure going to be in there. There's a lot of discussion about the one or two positions you could flip-flop in and out. So who do you view as the most likely starting lineup? Or you can even phrase this as who would you start if you had the choice? And then who do you think we're going to see a lot of off the bench?
So I would, Ann and Mark are locks, obviously. I want to say that Sean Phillips probably locked up the starting job with his performance at the Kansas State exhibition.
Yep.
Like, I don't know how you keep him off of the floor at that point. I'm pretty sure Sebastian Mack is going to be in the starting lineup. T.O. Barrett might take that at one point. We'll see how the season goes. But like every time I've been to practice, the couple of times I've seen them, I just come away very impressed with T.O. Barrett. And that's not to say that Sebastian Mack's a bad player. I just think T.O. Barrett
They're pushing
can
each
grow
other.
that much.
There's legitimate competition. Yeah.
All the guards are,
And so that leaves the wing, and that's been kind of the big toss-up for me this whole summer. I think you have to start Trent Pierce. He's got the experience as a starter. He's got a lot of the skills that you want at the wing spot as a shooter, as a floor spacer. And it just gives you like a massive lineup to have him, Mark, and Sean Phillips out there. But like if you are really pressed for a shooter, you could go with Jacob Cruz. I really liked what I saw out of Honor Boateng at the Kansas State exhibition.
That was a big game for him. That was
brought up, yeah.
huge.
It's more of a defensive lineup, possibly, yeah.
Yeah. And then, like, they started Javon Porter at that game, and we'll see if that's, like, a permanent fit. But one of the things that Gabe and I talked about afterward was just they've got all of these tall guys that they're expecting to hit threes, and none of them really hit any threes in that game. So that's kind of why I think it's up for grabs right now, is because you need Javon Porter to hit threes, you need Jacob Cruz to hit threes. Trent Pierce didn't get a chance, but like that's gonna be the determining factor, I feel like, of where this team goes, because you've got some really good guards and you've got a really good forward and you've got depth at the five. Can you figure out who's at small forward? So a couple of guys that I just mentioned I think will come off the bench. And then Jaden Stone is another one. I think that he's going to be kind of in that Marquez Warwick role where you just need a punch off of the bench. Things kind of sag on offense. He's going to give you some energy. And then we'll see if Trent Burns is something. Like, he's got to get his feet wet, and he's got to prove like he's ready right away. And I'm not sure he's going to get much of an on-ramp to do that. But if he does, that's absolutely somebody you got to put into the rotation. Like a 7'5" guy that can shoot threes is not something you see every
I'm
day.
curious, what have you seen, like, Mizzou fans who talk about the game as a 3-2 are just desperate to see anything about Trent Burns? Because the potential is crazy out of him. What have you seen from him from practice that you can at least tell us? Like, what
Nothing.
glimpses have you shown? Nothing? You haven't seen?
I think I saw him practice once, and it was last year, and I don't remember who wasn't playing. I mean, I think he had a couple blocks that day. We saw him in the Lincoln exhibition last year. He hit a 3 in that game, right? But it's all small sample size, and so like. I've been telling people, you could tell me he's the next Kristaps Porzingis, and I would believe you. You could tell me he's the next Connor Vanover, and I would believe you. He's probably somewhere in
disrespect
between.
to Connor Vanover.
He's a great Connor
right?
Vanover.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, but didn't they say he gained like 30 pounds of muscle, or like
Yes.
put on 30 pounds and there's no body fat add? It was just like there's just so much you can add onto that frame
Yeah.
of his.
Yeah, he's up to 260 right now, and I think he got to Mizzou at 220. So they've been working on him. The biggest question for me about Trent Pierce is like, does his foot speed hold up, right? Because he's had the surgery. He's already kind of had a reputation of being slow-footed, so he's got to get to the right spots. Everybody's going to drive at him. People are going to try to snap him in half because he's big and he's a big target, and they're going to try to get free throws against him. So he's got to be in the right positions, can't get into foul trouble, and so like those are the questions that he's got to answer right away when he does get healthy.
And you said Trent Pierce, but I think you meant Trent Burns, right?
Yes, I get them
That's
confused
what
all
you
the
kept
time.
coming to Trent.
Same. Don't worry.
But no, I agree. I mean, when you have arms as long as him, you can be a little bit slow foot speed wise if you're really good at knowing your angles and your position.
That'd be smart.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, then our second to last question then is, with a highly ranked recruiting class coming in, plus some of the best retention of any team in the SEC, and somewhat college basketball wide. Like I was doing a search through of SEC teams and the non-con, and the amount of teams that were replacing almost their entire starting roster is pretty crazy. What do you think it is about Gates and his staff that makes kids want to play for them? Of course, NIL is part of it, and they're boosters, but there's on a field where a lot of schools are offering similar or even more money than Mizzou, what is it about Gates and the staff that you think is winning kids over, both staying in the program and joining on?
Oh. Am I here? Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, my internet's been kind of sketchy tonight.
Okay, no, all good. Yeah, so to answer your question, two main things. Number one, when they got Jason Crow, Gabe was at Peach Jam to talk to him about the commitment. And what Jason Crow Sr. told Gabe was, we didn't take any visits before today, right? Everybody's got private jets. Everybody's got nice facilities. Going and seeing a school is a waste of time because it takes away from your development. So they made this decision purely off of Dennis Gates and the NIL. And I'm not going to say like Mizzou was the leader in NIL. I actually don't know anything about the NIL, to be honest. But it was at least competitive enough that like Jason Crow could have gone to any school in the country, and he chose Missouri. So Dennis Gates is one of the biggest reasons for that, number one. And then number two, when I talked to Kyle Smith-Peters at one point this offseason, and I asked him, like, every recruit I talk to says that y'all are very honest with them. You're very transparent. You don't sugarcoat anything. Why is honesty important to y'all when you recruit these kids? And what he said was, like, we want them to be able to accept coaching and accept criticism, because if we don't do that while you're in high school and then you get to college and you start hearing it every day, like, you're not going to be prepared for it. That's why you see a lot of guys move on in the offseason, and why you've seen Mizzou have the retention that it does is because like they're not telling kids anything dishonest, right? Like kids know what to expect by the time they get to college at that point. And he was like, and if you're not ready for it, cool, you'll be in the transfer portal 2 years and maybe you'll be ready then. So
Yeah.
I think it's just those two things. He said Dennis Gates is really good about re-recruiting his own roster. There might not be a coach in the country who spends more time with his players who are already at the school and doesn't spend 3 to 4 days out on the road recruiting. And so, yeah, like I think it's just kind of a culmination of those things. It's Dennis Gates is really good at building relationships, and then the staff lets kids know what to expect before they get here, and there aren't any surprises when they do.
I thought it was a telling quote when someone asked Gates about Rowe. He's like, for my point guards, when they're in practice, they can't do anything right. Mm-hmm. And like he's on them that hard the entire time. And it's like if they're rising to that, they were expecting that coming in, which is, of course, a huge positive. I do have to ask on that Kyle Smith-Peters story, what was your reaction when he said that he takes every morning he goes in the hot tub of a cigar as his like morning wake up? Because I read that and I could not believe that actually that a man does that every morning. With a coffee, coffee, and hot tub every morning.
He is deep into the cigar world, y'all. Like that was the whole premise of the interview was like, I want to smoke cigars with Kyle Smith-Peters and just learn from him, learn about like what should I be doing here. So that was a really cool story. I 100% believe that he smokes 1 or 2 a day, including every morning in the hot tub with
his
coffee.
Voice sounds like it. He's got that gravel of a long time high quality smoker.
Yeah, so he's cool. Like
he's cool. Yes,
he's cool.
He needs an NIL for a cigar company at this point.
I was going to ask him there's a cigar shop in Colombia
that should sponsor him. Like
he's like best friends with Nick Perdomo, who owns Perdomo Cigars. So
there we go.
I don't know about best friends, but they know each other.
No, you said it.
I'm sure they
We're posting a clip of it. You said they're best friends. Mizzou NIL funded by the Perdomo Cigar Company. So the last thoughts, and if you don't really have any thoughts on this, I get it. But the big controversy sweeping the Mizzou fit. If you go under any Mizzou basketball post on Twitter, it's the student section. We did a whole bit about it on our last podcast because we were in the student section for years. It meant a lot to us. So what are your thoughts on this change? There's been silence on it. It kind of, like the press release beforehand didn't really accurately, like people didn't read the press release and then visualize until they saw it. Like what are your thoughts on the whole thing?
So I have a lot of thoughts on it. I don't know that y'all want to hear them though.
What?
We did like
you don't care. Let me guess.
5 minutes on
okay.
this.
No, this is good.
Man.
No. We want dissenting opinions. Go for it.
So let me start with this. Who's the third host on the podcast? I can't remember his name.
Michael.
Okay. I saw the clip that y'all put out of Michael. Yeah. He absolutely cooked. I had to write it down, so let me read it real quick.
He said it was weird. He was like, "Oh, you picked a weird clip to post, Curtis."
He's gonna love that. He's gonna love.
I was like, "I think you nailed it."
No,
we tell him he needs to bring more of that to the pod because he's a little nervous starting out here. But
I got you. He said, "Nothing says home court advantage like playing in a Marriott banquet hall filled with Peter Millar collared shirts, sipping courtside Chardonnay, talking about their kids and their friends' internship programs, and trying to scam each other out of life insurance and financial advising from a 22-year-old. Michael, you need to be a writer."
That's what I said. I said he was in the wrong profession at one point.
He drops those things out of nowhere sometimes. It is wild the things he will just pull out of thin air.
Okay,
truly an artist.
There's an episode of The Simpsons where the teachers go on strike, and there's a clip that I always stop and watch when I see it on TikTok, and it's Miss Crabapple. They're at a PTA meeting trying to decide like what to do about this teacher strike, and Miss Crabapple is like, all we're asking for is a cost of living raise and new equipment for your kids. And then Principal Skinner comes over and he's like, doing those things would mean raising taxes. We've got a tight budget around here. And then Miss Crabapple comes back and she's like, but it's for the future of your children. And everybody in the crowd is like, oh yeah, the children. We gotta do right for the children. And then the principal comes back and he's like, you'll pay for it. And they're like, oh yeah, taxes. I don't know about taxes. And then the teacher comes back. She's like, come on. And they're like, that's a good point. Good point. And then the principal comes back and he just rubs his fingers together and does the money sign. And they're like, the finger thing means the taxes, right? So that's the conversation that we're having right now.
Yep.
I'm not going to win any elections by what I have to say, but I do feel for Mizzou fans and for the Antlers specifically. Like, y'all talked about your perspective and kind of what it meant to you to be up close and to provide that kind of environment. And it sucks that they have taken that away. I think that there are legitimate reasons to be upset over this, for sure. But for one, I don't think that limiting the court storms is one of them. I've been on the record as very anti-court storm, so I couldn't care less about that. Number two, let me ask y'all this, right? You mentioned you were there for the Kim Anderson era, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
We didn't get to rush the court.
Didn't get to rush the court.
I hear you.
Losing to UMKC, you're not like, I got to get on that court. Right?
Right. Absolutely. So that was Mike Alden was AD at the time? Yes?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
If Mike Alden comes to you while you're a part of the Antlers and they said, guys, listen, we've got 2 5-star recruits that we're about to land, but we got to pay them a bag. Can we move y'all up a couple of rows so that we can sell some floor seats and turn this program around and bring some real, like, program-changing talent to Mizzou? What would y'all's answers have been?
No, I said I said this for like 10 minutes. I was ranting last time. It's the transparency, because I said, like, yo, if they had just told us that, like, it'd be like Julian even said on the last episode, like, if they just name those seats like the Jason Crow row, or whatever, like hey, like
the Jason,
we get it. Like, is that the bag? Did it go there? But it's just the fact that that they're kind of trying to like sneak it past. That was the frustrating part. But I understand.
I mean, like, it's just college sports is really expensive now, and a player like Jason Crow or a player like Tony Bryant does not come for cheap. Like, I know Mizzou got Jason Crow, and he could have gone anywhere else in the country, and maybe NIL had to do something with that. So, like, my question, I guess, for most Mizzou fans is, if you're not willing to move back a couple of rows, if you don't want that to happen, like, what are you willing to give up?
Where does it end, Drew? How far back are they going to move,
You got to raise the taxes.
This is how it starts.
You got to raise the taxes.
Yes, exactly.
I just can't
Perfect
imagine
answer.
that.
I appreciate it.
Well, I think something that did blow my mind, Curtis, when you brought up that, we have a buddy who works in ticket sales, for a professional team, and he's like, yeah, those seats probably got them at least $500K. Like
400 was the exact
$400K just from the promises. Like not even actually selling them.
Yeah.
So I went back. I talked to him again. He's 400K. He's guessing 400K throughout the season.
Okay.
That's and again, this is just
players.
I get, but like, is that going to the end? It's like, at some point, how much are we going to keep cutting fan experience to maybe get one more player? And I get it. Like, that's the whole reason we want to watch winners. But I get it, and it just sucks. That's it. I get it, and it just sucks. That's all it really is. And
totally.
And the fact that you have to, that, like, now there's revenue sharing, but you're still all fighting over the NIL part of it, and every inch matters. Yeah, it's a bummer. And I also agree where if they were like, hey, this is like an NIL seat sort of thing, and they hadn't done it that harshly, I think feelings would be a little bit different. But, like, you couldn't get money any other way. Like how many how many iconic moments happen with that student section right there? It's killer. Especially when you watch other basketball teams like Duke that give the whole side section to the students, and it's like, you couldn't even keep that row. It feels really bad.
Yeah, I mean, Cameron Indoor is the outlier there, but I get
it is. They make plenty of money other ways, but
Yeah, I mean,
just
two things there. Like, y'all made the point they are valuing money over the fan experience, and I think again you're totally valid, and it does 1000% suck. So I do feel for you there.
Look, I get the financials.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
the fan experience is also the team being good, so I also get that too. But
That's the thing, is like the money's being well spent, right? Like you've got Jason Crow and Tony Bryant next year.
Yeah.
You've already got Scotty Atkinson locked up in the 2027 class.
that
and
was
then,
great. Yeah, that's great.
we dropped the class of 2028 rankings this week, and Mizzou's got offers out to 4 guys in the top 10 already. Like they're big game hunting, and so far, like it's paid off to cut some expenses and cut some of the fan experiences, right? Like you're getting the talent that you want at that point.
I just wanted him to tell us that, though. That was my whole thing. It was the lack of transparency.
The other thing too is like you brought up Cameron Indoor. How many schools like across the country have a really good football program and a really good basketball program right now? Like Duke's football team isn't really nothing to write home about.
The SEC, though, that's kind of becoming the standard. Like more than it
Alabama?
used to be, at least.
Kentucky,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Bama, Auburn had a couple of years there
Kansas,
as well.
like,
Yeah.
and then like on the flip side, like Georgia has a really good football team. I don't know about their basketball team this season.
They had Anthony Edwards, man. Okay, you know,
They tried.
4 years ago.
Ohio
5
State,
years
same
ago.
thing. Like Michigan just won the national title and then fired their basketball coach. Like it's really hard to do both at the same time, I guess is my point there.
Yeah, it's a very good point.
And if schools have to pick, they'll pick football team every time. If they had to pick one team to be good, it's going to be football team every time.
Yeah.
So
More revenue.
outside of like the real outliers, but yeah. Well, Drew, great. I had a great time. Hope you had a great time.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you so much for stopping by. I hope maybe halfway through the season or the end of the season we can have you on again just for your season thoughts of how things are going. And I hope that all of the food they provide you at the stadium is good this year for when you're there.
Well, we'll see about that. No, but
Again, I've been there.
if I can plug my stuff one more time, you
Please,
can
yes,
find
please plug.
Yeah.
all of
By all
our
means.
hoops content at PowerMizzou.com. I'm actually going to fly to DC on Monday. I will be there in person for the Howard game for the season opener, so I'll have some exclusive coverage while I'm out there. Make sure to go find all of that at PowerMizzou.com. And then I've got a new Twitter account. My old one got suspended, so go follow me at the new account at Drew
What did you
King
post?
0222.
What did you
underscore.
post?
Wait, hold on. Let him say his new handle real quick.
The new handle is Drew King 0222 underscore, which it didn't used to have the underscore on it. But what happened was I was starting a fantasy football league with friends from college, and I just wanted to have a group chat on Twitter. And when I sent a DM to 11 people at the same time, Twitter thought it was a spam message and said, "Nope, you're a bot. We're suspending the account." I have not been able to get it back yet. It's
They
been a
read all
couple
your
of
tweets
months.
and went bot.
Yeah. So
So, I do have one follow-up question then. How did you convince Gabe to pay for a flight to DC to watch
I know-
at Howard?
Second question: are you flying into Reagan or Dulles or BWI?
these are good questions. I don't know about the airport. Gabe,
I grew up around DC. I'm sorry.
no, I think it's Reagan. I'm pretty sure. But
Yeah.
Gabe's old school. He still very much values having in-person
on the ground.
coverage.
Yeah.
Boots on the ground. And I'm trying to get like as much exclusive stuff that like nobody else on the beat is gonna have. So if you want that, make sure to subscribe to PowerMizzou.com.
Yep. And we'll make sure we link all your,
Yep.
all
We'll
your
post
stuff,
all
any
your
coverage
stuff.
that you get. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
Well, Drew, thank you so much, and our fans, all dozens of them, I'm sure will
Yeah.
appreciate this podcast.
Dozens.
And thank you once again. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Anytime, guys.
All right, take care.
Appreciate it, man.
All right, we have lost Drew, but brought Mike back on for our Howard preview. For those of you not in the know, for each of these teams, I'm going to start with a quick what did Ken Palm say about them, and then Mike's going to kind of hit us with some deeper stats and his broader thoughts as the guy who is much more into the stats of college basketball than I or Curtis. So Howard ended last season as a 314th ranked team in KenPom, out of only 365. Not amazing. At 12-20, Mizzou beat them last year 77-62. This year, which is not as big as you I think would have hoped, knowing what we know about Howard, but starts the year at 308 in KenPom. So of course we feel like this should be a pretty big lock to win, even though we're at Howard. But Michael, what else would you say about this Howard team?
Real quick, Howard coached by Kim Anderson, apparently, based on the stats.
Yeah.
Michael, what would you add about Howard?
Yeah. First of all, Tatanka. Tatanka. Yeah. Shout out Howard. Think they were founded 1867.
Yep.
We got a
close Civil War.
Yeah, close friend that's an alum. So that's pretty cool. Beautiful city, Washington D.C. So yeah, there's honestly not much to say about Howard. This is just a cupcake game. I would really like the Tigers to flex their offensive muscle against Howard. You're predictive, wise they're going to be a bottom, almost probably one of the worst, top 25 worst defensive teams in the nation. Mizzou predictive wise coming in at a top 15. So I would really like to see
offensive
them.
Or
yeah. Mizzou yeah, offensive efficiency predicted right around 14. Howard defense predicted at 333. So
it feels like we should crush them. It feels like this should be almost boat racy.
Yeah, I think it's some of the predictive analytics right now have it by Mizzou 89, Howard 70. So
what's the spread?
Nothing up. I can't find anything at DK.
They're worried. They don't know yet. It's such an unknown.
Yeah, if it's anything under 20, I will definitely I'll be playing that. I don't know. It would almost be disappointing if the Tigers win by 11. Or props to Howard if they come out of the gate and knock punches in the mouth. But I just don't think that's on the table.
What win amount would you go? I wouldn't bet that 30.
No, Mizzou's not. It's still D1 basketball. 30 is a lot of points.
We're trying to get a lot of guys a lot of minutes early too.
True,
a
they're
20.
Gonna play. And I think the thing that's hard about these is that you're right. Dennis will put in every single person in this game.
But those are the people who I want to see eat though. You know what you're going to get from your top guys, but it's your Luka Norweather.
Luka Norweather.
Luke Norweather.
God, I wish he was trying to make him sound Slovenian so that he
I wish
to hype him up a little bit more. Luka Norweather.
Luka Norweather.
Yeah. If he likes Marlboro Reds, I'll send him a pack.
But Northweather, dude, honestly, nickname to keep an eye on though. If he starts cooking at any point in the year, Luka Northweather. I'm putting that in the bank.
We want to see Luka Northweather eat. We want to see Sean Phillips should dominate this game. Both the defensive and mostly in the defensive side, though. Just offensively, he should be able to get some easy points. I would like to see Mark get back on track after a rough K-State opening. And this is a chance for also some of our other players that had kind of rough games, Jacob Cruz, Javon Porter, to also have much better games and get on a little bit of a better footing.
This I think is a great.
It's a
great Porter game.
He's going to put in some crazy lineups to see what can possibly work.
I'd love to. This is the comp levels. I think for Porter here, this should be a great game for Porter. Similar competition. Perhaps to last year, but everyone else, in short, you kind of want to see more of your role, non-traditional role guys, get their seat at the table for these types of games. I don't expect everyone to play, but maybe some lineup tinkering here or there. But long story short, Tigers by 20. I just don't.
I wonder what game in this season are they going to try to ease Trent Burns back in, because they're like he's technically ready to play now, so
this would
be interesting. I bet it's going to be one of these first 4 cupcake games where they're just they put him out there and see what he could do, because I'm ready to see him almost more than any other player. I'm fascinated with what Mini Wemby can do. That's why I said it.
Mini Wemby.
Mini Wemby.
We've got Luka Northweather
Yeah,
And
Luka.
and Mini Wemby.
Well-
We'll never lose again.
As Mike said, Tigers by 20. We're excited for this first game. Hopefully you can find it on streaming. I think it's going to be on the ESPN Plus app. That's it. So
Yeah, don't forget to renew your subscriptions. I just got the
ESPN
email,
Plus
so,
confirmed. Yeah.
Yeah.
ESPN Plus confirmed, or you can listen to it on the radio. That's your two options.
Like Kelly.
But sounds good, guys. Another successful podcast. We did it again. Mike, good luck with your kids coaching basketball. Curtis, I hope you can find a good flavor of vape because it looks like you're about out on that one.
Yeah.
And I hope I can
This
find.
one's called Tiger's Blood, actually.
Ooh!
So
Ooh, exotic.
And I hope I can find a completely furnished basement to record from next time.
yeah, you cooking around there, moving around. It's great stuff.
This
Yeah.
this is your boys at the Circle at Mizzou podcast. Go Tigers!
Go Tigers. Yeah, Julian had to do a good podcast so that they'd let him leave the basement. It definitely seems like a place where you'd be locked.
Get down there and record your ass off.